Tara,
Yeah.
remember our recent video on when did Genesis go bad?
Yeah.
The question on everybody's lips is, when did Yes go bad? So, Tara, we got a lot of kind of response, both positive and negative, towards our video of when did Genesis go bad. And it kind of brought us back to the question of when did Yes go bad, because I think it originally was when we were doing Yes that we got the idea for when did Genesis go bad, or was it?
Yeah, because when we ranked the Yes albums, me and you were talking among ourselves like about when you were putting certain ones at whatever ranking, like we were talking about when they went bad and stuff, so we thought we'd do a video on it, as controversial as it might
Go
be.
easy on us now, it's just our opinion.
Yeah.
Like, if you think that like albums that we don't like are masterpieces, that's your opinion, and it takes all sorts, we all hear things differently, and it's okay. And yeah, I mean, you can put what your decisions would be in the comments.
Yeah.
It's not this isn't a ranking video, by the way, it's just kind of talking about maybe what happened, you know. But very interesting, very different kettle of fish, Yes, to Genesis.
Yeah, they had a revolving door.
Yeah.
Basically, a lot of stuff went on within that band as well.
It did, and a lot that I think isn't even kind of known to this day.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff that went on behind closed doors and things like that. Great interview with Peter Banks that I was looking at a while ago. It's all on YouTube, it's about an hour long. It was brilliant, actually, you know, and some of the way he was treated wasn't quite good, you know. And like what's going on at the moment with the band, I think most fans would not be kind of happy with the how can I put it, the current political state that's going on with the band. It would be nice if everybody could just be a bit more together, basically, and happier.
There's not a great dynamic there at all. You can see that there's a certain person, the hierarchy like is there, like, and there's a certain person at top. I think we all know who. And then the rest of the band are down here, like, you know.
No, but I suppose what I'm talking about is, you know, that it kind of split, you know, when we had the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing, there was really two Yeses on that stage at that point, and then we had the Yes that have the right to use the Roger Dean logo onto it, and we had the Anderson Bruford, what is
Wakeman
it? No, it wasn't Anderson Bruford Wakeman, it was Anderson Rabin Wakeman. Wasn't it?
See, like, it's just so confusing.
Yes thing, yeah, so I mean they were doing Yes as well, so it's kind of where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get back. I suppose the purpose of the video was to kind of look at like when did things go wrong, because what I found was a couple of people in the comments to the Genesis one started talking about Yes as well, and when they saw Yes as kind of going downhill a bit. But what was interesting to me was a friend of mine actually called in last night, and he said I was watching your Yes ranking video, because he's also a bit of a Yes fan, and he said I started watching it, and he said then I skipped forward and I watched about the top 10.
Yeah.
And we can all admit that Yes started out, they were supposed to have been an amazing live band in the marquee, started making albums. The first couple of albums were kind of finding their feet. Then you get the Yes album where they've kind of got, you know, they called it the Yes album because they felt this is it, we've got something here. They go on to Fragile, some fantastic music on Fragile, and moments where they're kind of putting spotlights on the individual members of the band, which kind of works quite well, I think, and did at the time. Then you move on to Close to the Edge, an absolute masterpiece. Topographic Oceans, which is kind of the artistic zenith of the band, like, you know, they're not going to go past that. And I suppose comparing it to Genesis, we can compare it to The Lamb. So we've got this big kind of double album masterpiece. How do you follow that up? And then we get Relayer, where they go a bit more into the kind of Mahavishnu orchestra type influence way, where they're kind of trying to stretch it out in that area a bit. But unfortunately, they only did one album like that, and then we had the solo albums, which I think a lot of people leave out of the canon, and we've a separate video to come on that. Tara is really looking forward to kind of spend a bit of time getting more acquainted with Beginnings by Steve Howe, because the wonderful vocals, that he does on it. She keeps saying, "No, Dad, don't make me listen."
No, I really don't want to. Like, it's like, but we have to do a video on it. What am I going to do? Like,
I don't know.
my ears will be bleeding afterwards.
No,
and I'll
you'll be
going,
fine. You'll be fine. You'll love it all.
No, I won't.
It's all part of the history of it. So we'll have a look at that, and then what we'll do, and then after that, so they did the solo albums. They went their own separate ways. Like, what do you do when you've kind of done everything? So then they did the solo albums as a kind of I suppose it was for the band to kind of breathe and open out, work with different people.
Yeah, experiment,
all this sort of thing.
like
Yeah.
their own kind of stuff. Yeah.
Then you put it back in then to do an album, and they come back with Going for the One, which is a very strong album, you know. But then how much of that was written before they went off on the solo thing?
A lot of it, yeah. It's great having Rail NYC's channel on YouTube, because he does some really in-depth
Check out Rail NYC if you haven't.
on certain albums and the makings of, and he was saying when they were making Relayer, like that when that was finished, Patrick Moraz actually wrote a lot of Awaken that went on to Going for the One. So I'd say most of it was written before they all came back together to do Going for the One.
Yeah. So then we get to what some people have pointed out in the comments, an initial kind of weak point in their canon, which is Tormato. So, or Tormato, for my friends on the other side of the Atlantic. So, and apparently the last time I held it up, it looked like my head was on it. So, what do we think of this album?
Tormato, like, it has some moments where you're like, oh, that's good. But there's nothing like what came before, you know. It's a series of songs. There's no kind of big pieces in it where you're like, oh my god, this is brilliant, where it's kind of going up and down, like.
Well, let's have a quick look through the songs, okay? So
Circus of Haven, I hate it.
Stop that now.
I hate it.
Do-do-do.
No, I
Do-do-do.
can't stick it.
Do-do-do. Do-do-do. Do-do-do.
Yeah, thanks, Dad.
Yeah, I love it. But anyway, I mean, Future Times. I remember this was the first Yes album I heard.
Yeah.
And I thought this was brilliant when I heard it, okay? Because I'd heard nothing else that they'd produced, you know? Now it's gone down in the canon for me. But Future Times, fantastic track. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. A great opener. Rejoice then that comes in with that. Fantastic. It's the real spirit of Yes. Don't Kill the Whale.
That reminds me of their first album.
I don't know, it's a bit
very
kind of...
reminiscent to that, because it's kind of this little bluesy thing then with a bit of keyboard in there.
Yeah, even though it's about kind of not killing whales, it's got a kind of green message. It sounds kind of corporate rock to me.
Yeah,
you know?
it's got very basic.
Madrigal, which is a fantastic tune, love it.
Yeah.
Love, very reminiscent of Turn of the Century or something, you know. Then Release, which I think is their attempt to kind of be punk rockers.
Really?
I do.
That's interesting. I've never heard
the
that
message
before.
is very kind of, you know, power at first to the needs of each other's ways. What is this? Something anarchies, falling ways, all unaccounted for the craziness of power and the crazy. And it's kind of like a message to kind of, you know, the anarchy and the kind of thing too.
But it's so like,
It is,
know?
but it's Yes trying to be punk, I think, you know. That's
fair. I do like Release. I think it's.
I like it too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's nothing on this album I don't really that I really dislike, you know. Arriving UFO.
Oh, I love that.
I like
think that was
Arriving
mad.
UFO. Yeah.
Jesus. You know when you're listening to it and it's all la 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 la
But you see-
la 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 and then dee-dee-dee, like what? It's nuts. I think it's brilliant, but I
Yeah.
wish it was longer.
Well, that's it. I think
You
that
know?
would form a kind of movement in a song, like if they'd have done something bigger.
Yeah.
Circus of Heaven, I won't mention. But I like Circus of Heaven. I really love the imagery and the
Anyone
lyrics.
I've said it to is like, why? I love Circus of Heaven. I don't know what it is.
I
I just think it's really lame and like something that would be in a children's TV show back in the day or
Yeah.
something. I just don't like it.
Yeah,
you know?
okay. I don't know, I kind of like it. I love the sound of that bass.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
you see, he's a bass player.
But
of course he's
I
gonna
just
like
think it's
that.
really nice. I just do like it. And I just love the imagery and all the stuff, you know.
No.
The gigantic dreams of Alexander the Great. City wars where brothers fought and killed their friendship in hate. You know, all seen by Zeus performing scenes of magic. But I won't go on.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, I think it's brilliant. I do like it. Onward, I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
Love that piece of cornet that comes in, like you know, with the solo there. The bass in it. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's
And what Steve Howe does on the guitar again is just fabulous in it. And then on the Silent Wings of Freedom to finish it off is another kind of
great.
I think them kind of opening out. It's kind of like a jam, you know,
Yeah.
as is release. I mean, they're kind of like two jam tracks to kind of finish off each side of the album. But
It's just, it seems really like unfinished,
that's
unpolished.
yeah,
like,
that's exactly what
they
I was
just
going
threw
to
it
say.
together and were like, just get that out there.
Now, apparently
quickly,
there
like.
was an awful lot of shenanigans going on during the, if I can use that phrase, during the making of this album.
I mean, yeah, that cover wasn't even meant to be for them, was
No,
it?
it was
for
XTC, yeah,
like, it
yeah.
was so just like fake together. Like,
Yeah, but
just,
there was an awful lot of kind of stuff going on. Rick Wakeman was being a bit of a, how can I put it, you know, I mean, there's times when this guy, Rick Wakeman, I love the guy to bits. Rick, if you're watching, love you.
so talented, like.
Absolutely amazing guy. He'd come into the band, as the Nice would say, pregnant with promise and anticipation, and then it would just go, you know, he'd do a couple of albums and he's really enjoying his stuff, and then he'd like kind of scope us out.
He's
Whether
just-
it's eating the
yeah.
curry during freaking
He's like a
topographical-
bold child.
He is, yeah.
Honestly,
yeah,
like
yeah.
trying to
Very
keep
naughty.
him reined in, like I'd say, was wicked hard. And I mean, like, yeah, he did an interview about topographic oceans and said he hates it. He calls it Toby's graphic go-kart.
Yeah, yeah.
And he had someone lying in under his keyboards while they were on tour, handing him up drink and handing him up curries.
I'd love that drinking curry.
Do you
yeah.
know, like brazen child, you'd be
Yeah.
going.
Apparently, the curry restaurant where he got the curry is still in Manchester.
Yeah, we're going.
And
to
we're
it.
going to it. So there you go. But yeah. So but apparently he was really kind of out of control on some of this, and he was bullying Alan White a lot and
Yeah.
things like that. Which there's no call for that, you know. I mean, I've made albums with people, and it's a very kind of high pressure cooker environment, and there is kind of shouting and stuff that goes on, but you don't bully somebody.
No.
You know, I mean, there's just no call for that. So yeah, I mean, here, and they went on a tour after this. It was on the Yes Shows album, and it was supposed to have been a fantastic tour, but it was like they'd run out a kind of road, you know. So yeah, so I mean, this was an album that people say they turned down on, and it is definitely a kind of it is pulling back from the other stuff, and you can tell this isn't you know, a great work by
No,
Yes.
it's not.
It's kind of maybe something that shouldn't have been made the way it was.
Yeah.
And maybe they should have like thought about, we're going into the studio to make a Yes album,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
made it like a Yes album.
See, it's similar to the way I felt about Genesis, and then there were three, because you know these guys are capable of so much more, and when they go in and just like throw something together, like sure, whatever,
Yeah.
it's like, really?
Yeah.
I mean, we love you so much, we support you so much, and this is what you do. Like, just throw that at us.
Well, there were interesting times. A lot of bands were under a lot of pressure at that time, to kind of to do something different and to rein it in. So, but what I find odd is around that time, then you get they go off to Paris then to do the next album.
Yeah.
And it just implodes. The whole thing falls apart. Rick Wakeman is drinking bottles of brandy. John Anderson starts drinking with him. John and Chris are fighting over money and everything like that. And the three guys go back, Steve, Alan and Chris go back to the UK to meet up with Trevor Horn, Jeff Downs, and they produce Drama. Both of us are agreed this is a great album.
It is. I mean, like, it's structured quite similarly to Tormato. With the songs, like the sequence of just songs, like there's no kind of massive epic on Drama.
There isn't, but there are epic tracks.
Yeah, exactly. Like they really tried
like
this time, and it sounds fantastic. And I know there's loads of people out there that don't like Drama.
No, but we got an awful lot of love for having Drama up as high.
Which is great to see.
But I think this is a good album,
brilliant,
a very good album, and maybe that kind of change of personnel was what they needed. But just to show, like, the record company was all over the shop, so they were bringing out Yesterdays around the same time, which is like a compilation album with all sorts of bits and bobs and nuts and bolts on it. They bring out Yes Shows, the live album from the Tormato tour. All this is coming out around about the same time as Drama. So you've like things by a different version of the band all coming out together. I think there was management issues with this band as well. So we're looking at things like that, which is very very interesting, So we have all that. I'm there, poor young Dermot, after getting into Yes, like, really liked Tormato, went off, bought some of the early catalogue, bought Drama, loved it all, bought that Yes Shows when it came out and loved it all, couldn't get enough of it. They're gone. I remember I was going out with a girl and she said, what would you love to do? And I was just talking about Yes all the time, and she said, would you love to meet Yes? I said, I'd love to just be able to see them live. And she said, but why don't you? And I said, because they're broken up and they were gone. And then, like a flash in the pan, back they come with 90125. Now, a lot of people have talked about this as the moment that they lost them.
Yeah. Now, look, the Owner of a Lonely Heart and all that was a big novelty to me as a kid, right? Because it was being a kid in my generation that liked prog was hard because
it's always hard, isn't it?
You couldn't talk to anyone about it. You had no friends or anything that were into it.
Yes, it's always like
and
that.
If I'd hear any of it in like mainstream media, I'd get real excited, and I'd say he was looking at me like, what are you doing? I was playing a Grand Theft Auto game as a child because I was unsupervised sometimes, and Owner of a Lonely Heart came on in it, and I got so excited, and I was like, oh my god, Dad, that's one of your songs, it's in my game, oh my god. And I remember he was looking at me like, so but it was such a big novelty to me, and I loved it then. But as I got older and listened to the back catalogue, I was going, oh, hang on a second, this is very like, they were up here and that is like down here for me.
Yeah, I suppose when I heard it, I recognised Yes, John Anderson was singing on it.
Yeah.
It had Yes kind of features, as well as like having this kind of 80s rock and pop features as well. But I was just delighted. It was Yes, and they were back and they were in the charts, and there was all this awful music. Terry, you've no idea how bad it was, Terry. It was horrible. Like, we're talking about the time of Wake Me Up Before You Go and things like this. And the only thing that we could do is sit down and watch Top of the Pops. There was no YouTube or anything. I mean, these kids, they don't understand how bad it was, What you had was what was in the charts was just regurgitated through radio, and like there was all these programs showing pop videos and things like that.
Now, to be fair, it was like that for me up until a certain age, because we didn't get internet or anything until we were I was about 12, I'd say.
You're very innocent.
No, it was true, and it was all crap on the radio when I was a kid,
was,
like Britney Spears and that. So, do you know, like,
of course it was.
I understand your pain.
Good, okay. So it was really bad. So having Yes there was great, and like I was wheeling them on, and yeah, come on guys, this is great. And one night, like on the telly, it showed them playing it showed a bit of concert footage, like about like 40 minutes of concert footage from doing this, and they were performing roundabout and things as well as the other stuff. And I thought it was brilliant, and it was great to see like the band in action, you know, to see Tony Kaye back there as well, like, you know. I thought, oh, this is great, like, you know, and it was great to see, but unfortunately I never got a chance to see them. They never came to Ireland during all that touring, and at the time it would have been very expensive. There was no Ryanair at the time or any of this stuff, so I couldn't go to see him in the UK or whatever, like for any sort of a reasonable price.
Yeah.
So so 90125. This was this is an album that I've mixed feelings with. Now I have to say, over time it's gone down and down in my estimation.
Yeah.
At the time there was just so much excitement about it, and I loved it, and you know, I loved that they had Owner of a Lonely Heart in the charts, and I loved what Trevor Rabin did with the guitar solo, because like, I'm just so sick of, well, I'm not so sick, I'm older now, but I mean at the time, you know, you were just so sick of listening to guys like burning up a fretboard and here he's just like making sounds with the guitar. Kind of reminded me of a kind of Hendrix approach to the guitar.
Yeah, he's a very good player.
So yeah, I loved it. I liked that. Hold On, I didn't really like. It Can Happen, I didn't really like. Changes, I like. I think it's kind of a nice song. Cinema, the instrumental. Apparently that was really long. That was a part of a big epic that they were doing, and they cut it down to 2 minutes and 9 seconds. I think they got a Grammy for that as their best instrumental for the year. The only Grammy they ever got. Leave It, I thought was okay. You know, that Flying Pickets thing was out, like where they were all doing this a cappella thing. Our song Don't Like City of Love, okay. Hearts I really like. I like that even now. I like, as we flow down life's river, I see the stars fall one by one, all the angels in the magic constellation be singing us now. It's so John Anderson, you know. So yeah, I think it has its moments, and it was an important album at the time.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of put it into the historical context. But a lot of people think that's when they went bad. So they followed that up then with the live on the solos. As you can see, I have lots of Yes things outside of the main canon as well. And then, which I liked, I bought that and I thought it was really good, but now I listen to it and it's just them showing off kind of thing. And then I got Big Generator when it came out, and I like this album.
I prefer that now to 901.
I do like this one, yeah. It's one I tend to put on a lot. I'm always talking about, you know, when we do our videos, what were you listening to this week? I'm always saying, I was sitting there typing and I was listening to it. This is one that I kind of would reach for now and again when I'm working.
Do you know, I just remembered something there.
What?
I think I was about 17 and I turned to you and I said, I really like that 80s Yes song, Shoot High Aim Low, and you just looked at me and you went, so do I.
No, I do like Shoot High Aim Low. I mean, the Rhythm of Love I like. I think it opens really well.
I love the title
Big
track.
Generator, yeah, that's great. It's really kind of discordant. Apparently, and it's just kind of like, somebody said it's kind of rearrangement of the chords to Owner of a Lonely Heart in some kind of mad way. Like,
Fair, I can actually,
Yeah, Shoot High Aim Low I like, you know, Almost Like Love, yeah, that's alright as well, like, you know.
Yeah.
Love Will Find a Way, it's okay. Fine Lies, no, I don't like that. I'm Running, that's alright as well. Holy Lamb, song for harmonic convergence. We get the John Anderson bit there towards the end as well, which isn't as strong as the other one. But yeah, this isn't a bad album. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, like, you know, time was dragging between these albums. So they weren't gaining any momentum. And this, although it's a pretty good album, it's not any different from 90125. So I have to say, when Talk came out, I didn't even buy it because it was a few years after this again. I just thought, like, I've enough of this kind of Trevor Rabin thing, and I had a lot of stuff going on in my life then as well, where I was kind of very busy, and kind of I was leaving these boyhood things behind, moving on. I mean, my second childhood, I'm enjoying them all. So yeah, so I left Talk and I went off, and I thought that was, whatever it was. But yeah, I mean, for me, Union was a bad album. This is one that's bad. I'm kind of pushed to think of a moment on this.
Yeah, like if we're asking the question, when did Yes go bad? We're at 90125. Big Generator is a little bit up, and then we're going down and down, like,
Yeah, we get Union.
So it was around 90125. Like, I mean, let's be honest now.
Well, I think what happened. So what we have on this is we get this lineup: John Anderson, Bill Bruford, Steve Howe, Tony Kay, Trevor Rabin, Chris Squire, Rick Wakeman, and Alan White. And you kind of think, wow, that's a great lineup. But apparently, like, this was like really badly put together, and loads of other people played on it and things like that. I met a guy in London who told me he played some of the keyboard parts on it.
Oh.
I said, are you joking me? I can't remember the man's name, but he was a great keyboard player. I can't remember, he was with some band and he was fabulous, and I remember talking to him and he said, I should have played some of the keyboards on that. Oh. So they were just like filling it in with, he was some sort of session musician.
Yeah.
So they were kind of filling it in with bits and pieces, and other people, and everyone was phoning in bits, and they were shoving it all together, and they came out with this, and it's an absolute mess.
Yeah.
You see, and there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 songs on it. And that there, what you have here, and see, this is what I think happened, right? I'm going to we're going to have to come to some conclusion here, because there's no point in going on through all these albums. Yeah. Basically, after that, Yes had ups and downs.
Yeah.
They had some good albums, and they had some pretty poor albums as well. And I think we can all agree on that. There's some of them I like The Ladder, I like Magnification, I think is very
Fly
good.
From Here is alright.
Fly From Here, it's okay. So I have, exactly. I think we're both in agreement on that.
And I know I've just said that I prefer Big Generator over 90125, but when I think about it now, I haven't reached for that since I was a teenager.
No.
And all I listen to anymore is the ones that I think are great.
Yeah.
And
I think what happened was, like, Yes were Yes. They were a band who did things in a certain way. So what's a culture? Culture within an organisation or a band or a country or anything is a way of doing things. Okay? And I think Yes had a certain culture that they kind of started to lose around the late 70s. They kind of came back to it with drama, but after that they threw that whole culture out. On 90125 and Big Generator. Not bad albums. Like, these guys are great musicians and they'll produce a good album. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think the kind of idea that they had success with this more compressed version of the band became something like a fixation with them.
Yeah.
And every time they went into Bruce Fairbairn said with The Ladder, he tried to get them to learn how to make an album as Yes again, how to make a Yes album.
Yeah.
And you can hear that he's trying to push them back into that kind of, how did they make those wonderful albums back in the early 70s, and can they go back to do that? But I think there's this constant, almost magnetic pull to, but we were real successful in the 80s with these albums. And they kind of pull towards that a little bit, and then they pull back again. Lately now they've been trying to relearn how to make an old album again. So they're kind of trying to make, I think the last one was almost like an attempt to remake the Yes album or something like that, But yeah, they're trying to learn how to make an album as Yes again. But
I wish they'd stop, to be honest with you.
I suppose so. But what I suppose one of the things that I found was that you'd get something like, you'd have Mind Drive from Keys to Ascension, and then they bring out Open Your Eyes straight after. And Open Your Eyes is more kind of going towards the 80s stuff again, and they're kind of, Yes became two entities, and they're kind of pulling against each other constantly. And I think that's when they went downhill. Yes, for me, never really got bad in the way Genesis did.
No.
They never really got bad.
Because I can still hear things like Owner of a Lonely Heart or whatever, and be like, oh yeah. It's okay. Like, you can kind of, it's grand. I can bob along to it. Genesis, I just. Yeah. It sounds like someone is farting through my speakers, and I'm just like, oh.
But there's always little nuggets in the Yes catalogue, and some of the albums are better than others. After that point when they kind of took a downturn, some of them are okay, some of them aren't okay.
Yeah.
But it just depends on which logic is kind of the dominant logic when they go into the studio to make the album, I think. And I suppose that's it. Our real look at Jess is they never really went totally bad, but they did take a downturn, and we can see like the points at which it happened.
Yeah.
So Tormato, due to kind of internal strife and things, and kind of being burnt out and falling apart.
Yeah.
To get the New Blood with Drama, it doesn't last. Then they come back with the 80s version of the band. It doesn't really, the momentum isn't there to keep that thing going and to go back into some. But the success that they achieved on that has kind of contaminated certain stuff that they're looking for in later on. That 80s sound was gone.
Yeah.
And they were kind of trying to, see could they get commercial success. And I think a lot of it has to go down to bad management decisions as well. So anyway, that's where we will finish this thing off anyway. We just kind of hope you enjoyed it. Just our opinions and just talking about Yes, and where we think they took a little bit of a wrong turn now and again, and I'm just there's still plenty of beautiful
we love Yes. I mean, they'll always be so high up for us, realistically. But we just wanted to have a look into it and discuss it with yourselves.
Okay, so we'd love to hear your opinions on it. So feel free to contact us in the comments, and if you liked what you saw, remember to subscribe. Keep those subscriptions coming, because that just keeps us motivated to keep making more. Okay?
Yeah, and hit that like button.
Yeah. Okay. See you in the next video. Bye.